Thank you, Michael, for having me here and allowing me to spend this time with the group. And it's so good to see all of you again. And I know most of you, but for a brief introduction, my name is Kevin Perlmutter. I'm chief strategist and founder of a company called Limbic Brand Evolution. It's a brand consultancy with a distinct focus on emotion. And I'm going to share some thoughts with you about how to create Limbic Sparks. So something that you should know about me. I founded this company after being in marketing and branding and brand strategy, and even working for a music studio. After many years of doing all of this, I came to some conclusions. One of them is that brands should exist to make people's lives better, and not all do. There are many things that brands are doing that are actually disruptive to people's lives, although they do intend to, and they start out with this noble purpose. I also have learned through a lot of work in behavioral science research that it's important to focus on how you want people to feel. And I'll share more about that in just a second. Some other things I want you to know about me. I've been a competitive long distance and trail runner since high school. And I picked up a few things early on that always gave me an edge when I run. So the first thing that I learned is that if I lengthen my stride, I'm going to instinctively run more distance with less steps than the people around me. The other thing that I learned is that if I run the insides of the turns, I'm running less distance than those people who are running in the middle of the trail or on the outer edge of the turn. And the third thing that I learned is that I love hills. And if I power up hills, then I'm defeating people who are mentally and physically drained at that same moment, because most people can't stand hills. So I grew a love for hills, I power up them, and then I power down the other side and extend my lead while people are still behind me. What I'm doing now is I'm turning emotional insights into a competitive advantage for the clients that I work for. There's so much out there about the power of emotion. And surprisingly to me, so many brand and business leaders either undervalue, ignore, or are just simply not aware of the power that emotion has on customer relationships and business growth. Some facts that you may or may not be aware of. It's been proven over and over again that emotion is the largest driver of loyalty for brands. Forrester and others have done a ton of research on this. In a recent Forrester study, they said that emotion holds the key to achieving customer experience differentiation, and brands that want to break away from the pack should focus on emotion. Harvard Business Review recently released a study that talks about the fact that fully connected, and by that they mean at an emotional level, fully connected customers are 52% more valuable than those who are highly satisfied. So many businesses do satisfaction surveys and they're all excited about their highly satisfied customers, but it's actually not high enough on the scale. Their scale might not even go as high as it needs to go because customers that are fully connected are more valuable because they refer more, they recommend more, they buy more, and they are more apt to return if they have an occasional bad experience. We also know that 47% of people will abandon poor or impersonal or frustrating brand experiences. And we've seen a lot of brand switching in the last several months because of experiences that were not suiting people's needs. Something that I learned about when working at the music studio, and I've been digging deeper and deeper into in the last year and a half that I've started my business, is understanding about how the brain works. As much as 95% of decisions happen at the subconscious level. They happen instinctively and impulsively with little or no effort or even conscious thought. Interestingly, and no coincidence, they happen in the limbic system part of our brain. The limbic system controls emotion, motivation, behavior, and memory. And I named my company Limbic because I'm committed to bringing behavioral science approaches and insights into all of the work I do. Everything I do is through the lens of emotion and motivation. So Limbic Sparks. Limbic Sparks is what I call the ultimate competitive advantage. And they happen when your audience is emotionally motivated by what you're all about. So when I'm working with brand and business leaders to evolve their strategy and how they put themselves out there through communications, experiences, products and services, or whatever it may be, I'm focused on understanding deeply what it is that makes a brand leader and that business tick. What is it that they started out to do? What is that thing that they're doing and want to do to make people's lives better? And how can they express that in more emotionally motivating ways? I also want to understand more about the audience that they're trying to serve. What is it that those people need and want and desire in life? People are not walking around looking for brands. They're walking around looking to solve life's challenges. And if they can find a brand that will do that for them successfully, that motivates them to take action and purchase or work with that brand in some way, then there's going to be a lot of success. So that intersection of emotional motivations, what I call limbic sparks, is a very powerful place to be for brands and the people they want to reach to meet.
Oh, sorry.
Bless you.
Bless you. The way I go about this work is typically in 3 areas. I help brands come to life in new ways, one, by helping them focus, clarifying the motivating purpose that makes their brand unique and desirable. I work with them and I work with outside information, whether it's primary or secondary research, to understand how to help them connect better with the people they want to reach, helping them strengthen connections by understanding people's emotional needs and desires and how those people want to feel, in turn, how the brand leader should want people to feel. And then I help them evolve. I help them by creating evolved communications, experiences, and offerings that address and tap into what people care about the most. Few client examples. I've worked with the AT&T Performing Arts Center, which is a large nonprofit in the city of Dallas. They have 5 incredible venues, and they are one of the larger nonprofits in Dallas, especially those serving the arts and entertainment district. I helped this organization evolve its mission statement, its brand strategy, its messaging approach, its visual identity, its fundraising strategy, and its marketing tactics, all by shifting the focus from about us, meaning them talking about themselves, to for you, for the people of Dallas, which is creating more appeal among a broader audience. When I met them, they were celebrating their 10-year anniversary, and their tagline was "Staging the Amazing," which was true. They were staging the amazing. But I helped them think from the perspective of their audience and the emotional benefits that they wanted to tap into. And we transitioned their core messaging idea from staging the amazing to yours to discover. And now everything is about welcoming, inviting discovery of everything that they have to offer. I worked with an online mental health advisory where I helped them evolve their business strategy, their brand strategy, their go-to-market plan, and the way they communicate, all by aligning their brand purpose with the emotional desires of the people who they want to support. And I helped this energy efficiency consultancy who focuses on corporate real estate in New York City evolve its brand strategy, its approach to communications, the audit reports and proposals that they share with clients, all by understanding the emotional insights and behavior drivers, a lot of that rooted in cognitive bias, that lead to increased energy conservation and real estate infrastructure investments. Most people will not actively go after energy efficiency upgrades, but there is a lot of proof out there and proven ways to get people excited about those opportunities. And I help them bring that into their work. I pride myself on taking the complexity out of typical brand strategy. A lot of brand strategy work, you sometimes feel like you're paying by the pound for the amount of information that gets provided. That's not my approach at all. My proprietary approach is rooted in Limbic Sparks and creating Limbic Sparks, and it's designed for efficient, effective, and immediately actionable results in how a brand presents itself to the world and comes to life.
Good. That's good. That's perfect. You have exactly 10 seconds left to the 10-minute mark.
Perfect.
All right. Wonderful. So questions for Kevin. Anybody show up in the chat? No questions in the chat yet. Anybody want to raise a question verbally? Just unmute.
I have a question.
Victor, go for it.
Michael. Thanks. So Kevin, very interesting. So how do you, the world, I guess, marketing and sales has kind of gone from, features to benefits / solutions to, I guess you're sort of saying it's now in the emotion stage. So can you talk about how do you sort of connect the, or do you, the benefits and solution element with the emotion element?
Well, it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. I focus a lot on emotional benefits. And by emotional benefits, I don't mean, there's a big misconception that emotional branding and emotional benefits means that brands are getting soft and emotional. And that's not what this is about at all. Brands don't need to get emotional in order to tap into emotional insights and benefits. What I'm tapping into are the emotional insights that their audience is looking to achieve. What is their audience looking to get out of life? And how can we make the people they want to reach feel like they're having great experiences in solving life's challenges and moving on with things? So the answer to your question is I'm still focused on features and benefits, but I'm focused on those features and benefits that would be more emotionally motivating to someone to want to get involved. Sometimes I'm thinking about intrinsic benefits, the kinds of things that hit us in the heart, versus extrinsic benefits, the kinds of things that are more transactional in nature. So for instance, for the AT&T Performing Arts Center, the benefits that we moved away from were we have amazing buildings that you'll want to go into. We moved to things like this is a place for you, where you could be more you, where you could find things that you never knew existed and become passionate about something that becomes a new part of your life. You could, these are the types of ways that I work with clients. Rochelle.
In general, is there a particular what's the word, vertical that you work with that is more open to this? Because I do a lot of this, what I say, through storytelling. But my question is there a particular audience for yourself that is more prone to this? Is it something like museums and arts and schools, or is it in more corporate that you want to kind of change the corporate culture and have them connect to more emotion? Like, what's your goal in something like that?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And I often get a question is, what verticals do I serve? And the answer is I could serve any vertical, because every business and every brand is trying to connect with people to sell their products. I would say I'm less apt to be doing consumer packaged goods or things like that. But I really enjoy businesses where they're actually struggling to overcome something challenging in people's minds. So the energy efficiency project was a really interesting one, because most people instinctively will say, I'm all for the environment, but will not necessarily take action on the environment. They'll say that they want to do things. So those are very interesting. I often work with B2B businesses who are trying to get people to buy a service. And I could work with arts and entertainment businesses where they're not connecting with people on what they're all about. I work with other types of nonprofits.
Nonprofits is huge.
And mental health businesses, health and wellness is a huge opportunity. There are many types of businesses that I'm working with. One last piece, I also, breaking out of the specific framework just a bit, I also work with businesses to help them with portfolio architecture and brand positioning, all through the lens of emotion. So I'm working with an agency right now, helping them articulate their positioning and their capabilities in a way where they're talking about what they do in the terms of what it is that their clients need and want out of life and career. So how do they improve their own end user customer relationships? How do they make sure there's stability in their technology? Less about the 15 or 20 capabilities that this company can do. We're tapping into what it is that people actually need and want out of that relationship.
I got a question, and we only have 22 seconds left, but I think
Sure.
it's relevant in the political campaigning world today. We know that sort of fear is a good motivator. How does that compare to sort of hope, and what are the differences between using fear to motivate versus using sort of hope and positive things to motivate?
I think it's an interesting question, but I would never propose that a brand uses fear as a motivator. What I would propose is that a brand taps into people's needs and desires and creates a little bit of intrigue and creates a little desire for something that they don't have. So tapping into cognitive biases like loss aversion and social conformity bias and other cognitive biases that we know are shortcuts for how people make decisions to get what they want and what they might be missing is important. But I would never recommend a fear as a tactic. Michael, do we have time for Rachel, who's been raising her hand? One more question.
Sure. Go for it, Rachel.
Oh, I'm off mute. I actually had kind of a two-part question. One was, you talk a lot about these audiences. I'm interested to understand what research you're tapping into, or how you're discovering that information. And secondly, what is your delivery? Like, do you deliver, what do you deliver at the end of an interaction with you?
Two fantastic questions, and I'll answer as quickly as I can for Michael. So the first piece is I'm tapping into insights that will help me understand what makes people tick. So when I'm talking with the brand leader, I'm doing a lot of conversation and questions. I'm trying to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system, the parts of the brain that are all about what people care most about. When I'm looking into the audiences that they're trying to reach, I'm tapping into internal client data. I'm tapping into research studies and insights that have been published online. And if I have the opportunity, I'm connected with 5 amazing research companies, and depending upon what we're trying to learn, there are research techniques that we could tap into. I typically go for behavioral science type research where there's a component that taps into people's subconscious thoughts and feelings, not purely conscious based, because that's not as reliable. I combine the two. The answer in terms of deliverable is the primary deliverable that I'm delivering first is strategy on a page. It's understanding the emotional connection that you can have, the shared emotional motivation that a business has with the people that they want to reach. So for AT&T Performing Arts Center, it was this passion for the performing arts. And then there's a strategy, which is more like a tagline-like statement, which is, for them, it was something around your world to discover. And I'm delivering components like personality traits and attributes that allow them to communicate better. And I'm guiding them with pathways to how they can go to market in more successful ways. Beyond that first deliverable, I can help them with copy, with marketing communications materials. I have people at my disposal who can help me do design and get really deep into any activation. Thank you for that question.
All right, great. Thank you so much. All right, with that in mind, first of all, I think let's give, first of all, thank you very much, Kevin. Round of applause. And we have two people that joined, Keith and Kimberly. I think you missed most of Kevin's presentation, but it will be posted. Kimberly, I don't know if you intend not to have your video on, but your video is not on. We can do 2 minutes and 30 seconds per person. And I challenge, or in light of Kevin's presentation, if in your pitch you can talk about how what you do or how what you've done appeals to people's emotions, whether it's clients' emotions or their emotion or their customers' emotions, I think that would be great. If you can weave that in, and we will go in order of in which people arrived. So Angela, Rochelle, and Larry, followed by Lucienne and Victor. So Angela, I will start your timer. You got to go off mute. Go for it.
If I snuck into your shower and opened your shower door and looked at the brand of shampoo that you have, I could find out a few things about you. Is it Pantene or Neutrogena? That's a leading brand. Is it something like Living Proof by Jennifer Aniston? That's a rising star. And then there are brands like Prel or Vitalis Those are called cash cows when you're examining a portfolio. And every venture capitalist who has a portfolio of brands has a group called cash cows. They're always there, but they don't get a lot of attention. They're kind of on the bottom shelf of the drugstore. Those are the brands that I can reactivate because I can shake up the marketing for them. I help them break into new business verticals with those kind of brands. I help them find new customers, and I help them upsell existing customers and get them excited again. And that creates important revenue streams with them. That's how I use my marketing to make them money. And that's really where I do my best work. I work with venture capital companies who have products that are sitting there that are basically losing a user every time an ambulance goes by. They have to find new customers for these dormant products, but they have to stay true to what their loyal users believe about them. Because I believe that over time, a brand belongs not only to the brand manager, but to the people who've been loyal to it all along. And you've got to bridge that belief and those beliefs and bring them forward in the more modern times. So my superpower is taking those kind of boring, musty brands and making them relevant to today, taking them from musty to must have. One example, what time I don't know my timing.
42 seconds left.
Oh, okay. So one example is Brute. I took Brute, which is the #3 men's brand. We revitalized it. We made a platform where we could launch Brute Revolution, which was the younger brand. And we used an anthropologist to study what made people's limbic light go on, and it was the blue bottle. So the blue bottle of Brute Revolution is what made it, and that's what we focused on. And we beat Old Spice, which was also launching a brand that year, by 35,000 units. And they spent 10 million and we spent 1 million because we paid attention to the limbic lights. So if you know a venture group that needs to wake up a sleeping beauty, let's have a conversation. I'm Angela Kaysen at Tempo Strategic.
Thank you, Angela. And that was obviously right on target with the limbic stuff. Okay, Rochelle, then Larry, then Lucienne. Rochelle, you're going to need to unmute.
Okay. So in today's market, your #1 skill is sales, or we may not be here next year. And when we sell and present, my big question is, are you storytelling or are you boring telling? Did you just tell me, did you drown me with facts and figures that I couldn't care less about, nor can I remember? Or did you tell me a compelling story, like what Angela just did, that I'm going to walk around thinking of Prel? I haven't heard of that in God knows how long. So what was the story that you can tell that when you present your products, that you position yourself as the clear and only choice? What is the emotion that you're bringing in? And more important, are you talking about yourself or are you talking about your audience? You know, I look at so many presentations. The first thing I see on either a website or a presentation is we do, we, or I am. And to be honest, I couldn't care less. We need to present our storytelling to the eye of the client, who's writing you a check. So creating these emotional dynamic stories and repivoting every imaginable presentation is where I have been doing a lot of my best work. I do it with emotional language. I do it with, I brag about what they've done. You know, I want to know when I'm speaking to a customer, not my customer, a client, how did you pull a rabbit out of a hat? What's your high level thinking? I'm going to you because you know you have high level thinking. You're not the ordinary common, you're the extraordinary. And I need to know that when you talk about your company, are you distinguishing that? So based on your high level thinking, I'm going to get that through what I call an extraordinary story. Like, how did you pull that rabbit out of a hat? And based on that, it creates a very different audience. So I worked with a pest control company, and when he was talking about his company, you know, pest control, I love working with what I call non-sexy industries. And you cannot get less sexy than pest control, bed bugs. That's like my claim to fame. But when we talked about what's the COI, the cost of inaction, you don't want to not, to ignore that. And he had such extraordinary stories that based on his stories, they couldn't wait to sign on the bottom line. So what is the story of your company? How are you moving it forward? Is it a family? Is it connected to legacy and emotion and you stand for something? I want to know what you stand for, because if I like you as a business owner and I have a choice to either work with you or somebody that I don't know what they're compassionate about, makes a difference. So creating dynamic presentation stories and pulling them out is where I do my best work. It's Rochelle from Dynamic Business Growth and not schlep along business growth.
All right. Thank you very much, Rochelle. Larry, and then Lucy, and then Victor. Larry, I've been putting people on mute just in case somebody sneezes, because I have it recording so that it's speaker view. So if you sneeze, your sneeze is gonna, bring the camera to you. So Larry, turn your mic on, and then
It's
Lucy.
on.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, I better not sneeze. Hey, I've been inspired by Kevin's presentation and Angela's kind of an elevator speech, and Rochelle always. So I figured I'm going to dust this off. I haven't given it in a while, but it's kind of my elevator speech. When was the last time you were watching TV, your favorite show on TV, and an ad comes on? Did you say, "Thank you, NBC, for showing me that ad"? Or you're researching something on Google and a pop-up ad comes on? Did you say, "Thank you, Google, for showing me that pop-up ad"? Well, conversely, when was the last time you went to a trade show? Nowadays, a long time ago. Or you meet with somebody and they handed you a very nice branded piece of marketing material, collateral, something fun, maybe like this phone stand or a useful light with their logo on it. I bet you didn't. I bet you did say, "Thank you very much for giving me that advertising." Well, I'm Larry Joseph. My company is Takeoff Products, and I'm in the thank you business. I've been doing it for a long time. I help my clients. I kind of mangled that elevator speech a little bit. I think there's a little bit, there's a amount of practice, as I said. But I help my clients with their branded marketing collateral. It can be promotional products, print, packaging, wearables, like I'm wearing right now. This one I did for a client. And it's a lot of fun, and I save them a lot of time and angst, because a lot of them don't have the resources that I have to source items and things along those lines. And I try and put it all together with their total branded marketing mix. How much more time do I have?
Got about 50 seconds.
Oh my God. Well, it was a 30-second elevator speech. Well, since, I tried to, as I mentioned this before, I tried to get away from just saying, "Hey, I'm in the items business," but this is a brand new item. I hope I didn't show it at the last meeting, but this is a Zippo power bank, which can be branded with your company name, but it's also a hand warmer. It's amazing. This thing heats up like crazy. It's a great holiday gift. So I'm showing that at some of these sessions that I've been going to. And it's just one of the many fun items that we can help you with promoting your brand or your client's brand.
Very cool.
Save time for the other people.
Thank you, Larry. Lucienne, then Victor, and then Rachel.
All right. I love what Kevin said about telling customers not what we do, but rather what they're going to get from our offerings. And I'd like to figure out how to twist that into my pitches. But don't you just love the movies? We all love the movies. My name is Lucienne Harriott, and together we can create movie magic. My company is Mechanism Digital. It's a digital production studio for marketing and entertainment in New York City. For films and TV series, our artists produce visual effects and title design. Recent projects we did were Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, Hereditary, and the Righteous Gemstones series on HBO. On the marketing side, we produce corporate communications with a focus in pharma and medical conferences that benefit from 2D and 3D animation, motion graphics and interactive, and now a lot of augmented and virtual reality apps. Our 25 years in digital media helps B2B marketing professionals tell their stories in innovative and memorable ways, using the latest visual effects techniques and movie magic. Our customers for film and television, they're producers and post supervisors. And that's a little different from the customers on the corporate communication side, which are usually marketing executives and medical education agencies. For big pharma, there's specific agencies that focus on medical education. We also do TV spots and any sort of design and visual effects in the web, in television and movies. So we're a digital production studio in New York City. Probably have a lot of left time But
That's right. You got 45 seconds left. I have some people.
45.
Yeah.
Great. But I really appreciate, Michael. This has been amazing meeting all these people and hearing all these stories. So it's exciting, all the different industries and the focuses on marketing and sales. And it's always a great little sales charge after being at these events. So I do appreciate you putting these on. So if I can use my time to just say thank you very much.
I appreciate your saying thank you. And I have a few people that are in the network that you might want to meet because they are focused on pharma and healthcare. So Peter Nemi, Regina Shanklin, and somebody else who's not in the network, but I can connect you to.
Thank you.
All right. Victor, then Rachel, then Cheryl.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Michael. And mine will probably be less than 3 minutes. I'm happy to cede my time to anybody else, just like that wonderful deliberative body, the United States Senate, when they do that all the time. But anyway, so I will echo what Lucian said about these meetings. I think it's great because it helps bring us back to basics. So I thought today's discussion about emotion and storytelling are great because, I mean, when you hear that, you go, oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's perfectly obvious, right? And then we forget to do it. And what Angela was saying about Old Spice, it's interesting because I love the Old Spice commercials and the Old Spice guy. It doesn't make me want to buy Old Spice, but I'm entertained. So at least maybe they're getting something for the $10 million. So anyway, in terms of thinking about how to, the thing about fear that we were talking about earlier, as to me, fear is the flip side of safety and security, right? They're the two sides of the same coin. So the thing that we're trying to do with our product, which is a super hotspot app, is give people the assurance of safety and security, right? Because the hint is, if you don't have that, then you're going to have a problem. So what we do is really enable people to maintain a fast and secure internet connection, because otherwise, you're going to be on Zoom and your video is going to blip out. And how embarrassing would that be? Oh, but we're not selling fear, right? It's safety. So it's been really interesting because, obviously everybody's working from home, except for Lucien, who looks like he's on some gigantic trading floor. So good job with the special effects there. And so it's a fun product. It's very timely, very straightforward. And this group has really been terrific in helping us get the word out. Michael is on the system right now. I've had great conversations with Keith and Kimberly. And Keith has sent some terrific prospects our way. So we're busy, talking to those folks and kind of trying to get their emotional quotient up. And I know, Larry, we've been trying to connect, but I, would love to have conversations with everybody to see, what we can do for you and what, how we can do some business together. So that's it. And Michael, I'll turn the microphone back to you.
And I think actually Lucien's background is real, correct, Lucien?
Sort of real. It's a green screen, but I'm actually in my studio. So this is our digital studio, but I'm on a green screen because the wall behind me is kind of boring. So it's very meta.
All right, wonderful. That is interesting.
Like a hall of mirrors.
Exactly. All right, Rachel, Cheryl, then Keith.
Hi, everybody. Rachel Saunders from Amplifier. I was the last to present, so some of you may have been at our last meeting. I was presenting. Emotion. I'm having emotions right now because I'm going to have to leave and help a child with homeschooling in about 3 minutes. That's a different type of emotion that we're dealing with on a day-to-day. My company, I would say, is very, very based in innovation. And I think that we all understand that word. It's been a part of my career. I've been 25 years in the digital marketing and media industry. And innovation is something that I don't really even understand a company that isn't about innovation, because it's been my only experience. And so it kind of suits me that I'm focused on a company. I'm with a company that's focused on innovation. And what we do is we look for extremely innovative technologies, mostly within the ad tech and MarTech space. And we bring those technologies, the products and the service suites out to market. And our market is both large and small agencies, everything up to the major holding companies, and brand direct. So that is who we go out and speak to. We really, the thing that we bring to the table that I think is different from a lot of the consultancies is that everybody in our company has been in this space for 15, 20 plus years. So the one thing that we can do is we can really tap into our understanding of the market, understanding of the technologies, and really truly see what is innovative. Because innovation doesn't always have to mean it's something new and sparkly and shiny. A lot of times it's just a better mousetrap. And we're able to identify those small, those little differences that can make a huge difference in somebody's business. And I'm Rachel from Amplifier.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rachel. Okay. After Rachel is Cheryl, then Keith, then Kimberly. Cheryl. Cheryl, you still here? Let's see if she's still here. I think, no, she may have jumped. All right, Cheryl jumped. Okay, Keith, then Kimberly. Keith, you may be on mute.
Yeah, no, I just was thinking I had 2 more minutes. So thanks, everybody. It's nice to meet you or see you again. Really appreciate this group. It's I've met such a high quality group of people in the last 6 months. And, this kind of networking on a Slack channel and through these kinds of meetings is just been a real visionary way to respond to what's going on. So appreciate the opportunity, Michael. Sorry I was late. So emotion, I'll try and weave that in. I would like to talk about how everybody's pivoting, and a strategy that I've developed over the last 20 plus years, to build a content hub. And it's a way to help you pivot. I've done this as a pivot strategy for companies, and it's kind of a theme of how I've gotten involved with this. When you're facing a big challenge in the market, you get executive support. You have an executive that's signed up to achieve something, or an entrepreneur that's raising money and has a goal to meet, and they've got to deliver. And so a content hub is an owned media strategy. I've seen it work in the startup world, real estate, software, telecom, and homeland security. And that's a really interesting story if you want to have a beer one day. It's a content strategy that's designed to grow a customer base, a customer audience, and your email list, and then build an interactive customer audience experience for them. And that leads to opportunities, because you're having ongoing conversations with your customers as you organize them and segment them into the kinds of conversations that they're interested in having with you. And it fills your pipeline with leads, and that creates value for a company. So I real quickly, sort of the genesis of what I do, I was IBM's first collegiate rep. When I worked for an agency right out of college in New York City, they told me to go down and work with some guys in a brownstone. They were writing a manual for the collegiate rep program. And we were selling the personal computer on college campuses. Why should you spend $3,000 to have a word processor? And that word processor could copy a chart from an Excel spreadsheet and drop it right into your paper. How valuable would that be to you? How much time do I got?
That's it, but you can, a closing
right.
argument.
So I have lots of other examples of how we've applied this online. I've written a book about it called The New Content Culture. And I would love to talk to you if you know somebody that needs to connect intellectually and emotionally with an audience and monetize that audience, not by selling advertising, but by generating leads. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Kimberly Sevilla, you're up. Kimberly, you still here? Yes, you're on mute.
I'm like my mother, I can't use technology. I think the older you get, the harder it becomes, and it's embarrassing to me because I'm very proud of my technology prowess. I was a reluctant salesperson, and started in sales. And after 9/11, I was a creative director of a technology company and couldn't find a job for some reason. So I took a job as a salesperson and managed to build a book of business close to $2 million within a couple of years. And like Angela, I did that by observing people. And Keith, I'm very fascinated that you have Andrew Jackson, and it looks like olives or cotton behind you. So I'm trying to figure that one out. It's a little confusing to me. And Rachel, you just need a peaceful life. Sometimes you have that lovely blue poster and you just need solace a little bit. But I was very successful as a salesperson and took that money and pivoted and opened a flower shop, which I operated successfully for 10 years and got into people's heads a lot. So Kevin, I'm all up in there in limbic systems, because when brides are making $10,000 purchase decisions, it's all based on emotion. So in January this year, I decided to go back to my roots and help other companies with their sales. I was a reluctant salesperson. I sensed that creative businesses also have a reluctance in this. And so I help them in different ways by developing strategies for outbound lead marketing and nice ways to send emails that don't sound salesy. I also take over people's LinkedIn accounts with much success. And I've been able to get meetings with C-level people at Fortune 100 companies for my clients by pretending to be them and just being nice and meeting people where they are. So I'd be happy to connect with you guys and have a one-on-one and just get to know each other better. Victor and I have spoken, and Rachel, I reached out to you and some other people. I don't mean to leave people out, I'm sorry. But anyway, Kimberly Sevilla, Business Development Consulting. I'm here to help people who don't want to be salesy, but do like money, like Andrew Jackson.
It's not Andrew Jackson, but it looks like him. I think it's
welcome
great.
to my brain, and I can all of the chaos behind me, I can explain.
What is it?
It's my Uncle Robert. My grandmother gave me that the year she passed away.
Oh, wow.
And he was a Long Island farmer. I'm related to a signer of the Declaration of Independence on my grandmother's side, but my whole family over 150 years ended up in the Midwest where I'm from. And I'm Dutch, Irish, English, and German. And that's just one of the relics that I collected along the way. Thanks.
So we'll call you Blue Blood Keith from now on.
Just 1/4. Farmer Keith works too.
Light blue. I'm glad it's not Andrew Jackson.
All right.
I was trying to find, I was like, it looks like Andrew Jackson-ish, but.
Rochelle, I don't think Keith knows any Yiddish words.
I don't know.
Any what?
Yiddish
You
words.
know any Yiddish? We had it before you came on. We were talking
Hey,
about it.
look, I grew up next to Skokie, Illinois. I have a Jewish brother-in-law. I have a black stepbrother, and I have a stepmother who is a faith healer out in the Midwest. So I am very diverse, and I also happen to really believe in the ideals that the people in that painting really held dear to create our Constitution.
Very cool. Thank you. All right. I will finish it up. So my name is Michael Bendit. My company is Software Development Resources. I represent about 10 different software development teams. And my position is somewhat unique in that both the companies I represent and the clients I bring in are clients of mine. And so I'm a matchmaker, and I need to make sure that both sides are happy. And sometimes it doesn't look like it's going to work out. And that just happened recently with a client who had been burned by his prior development team or freelancers. He wasn't getting the productivity he thought he was getting. They just kept on charging him hours and hours and hours and hours. And he felt trapped, and they also wouldn't sign a contract. And so he came to me actually through his lawyer. His lawyer, a great guy, sent me some business in the past, But his lawyer also tends to write these really long, complex contracts that are difficult. And he wanted sort of the best of both worlds, right? He wanted the agility of sort of, coming up with new features, and we would implement them sort of on an hourly basis, but he also wanted to hold us to account. And it was just a very difficult, complex kind of negotiation. And it almost got to the point where my team said, we really can't do this at the price we're telling him. And my job in this case was to say to the client, listen, I don't know if we can do this. The team that I'm working with, it's just as much as they would like to, at the price they're selling on an hourly basis, they can't take that much risk. Listen, we may not be right for you. We'd be happy to move you on to somebody else, but don't move on until you found somebody and have them write a contract, because you don't want to do this again, right? And he realized, you know what? Michael's being honest with me. He's happy to help me move on. Let's make this work. So it's all about, for me, being honest, helping the client with what I think truly is the best option for them, and recognizing that it doesn't always work out, but I'm doing my best to make it work as well as it can, given the situation. Now that's sort of a negative situation, but it turned into a positive, and that's where I come in, helping match these teams and making it work. Okay, so we only have exactly 5 minutes. I'm going to switch back to gallery view so everybody is visible. Thank you all for coming. We have a couple of things coming up. First of all, I'd like to make these bigger. And I am, as I said earlier in this meeting, in the process of building out this website that'll be a directory website, and hopefully, enable me to reach out to more people. Thank you all. I mean, all of you have been regulars. I'd love to have more regulars show up, and we're also looking for other members. So if you know folks, particularly outside of the New York area, not that I have anything against the New York area, but so many, I would say 80% of our group is New York centric. So folks outside of the New York area that are in the sales, marketing, advertising space, small businesses, solopreneurs, you could either be a consultant or an agency. Those are the kind of people I want to bring in. And also people who buy into this concept of sharing leads, not only for each other, but also for the companies that we now represent. By the way, you should have received an email that we just recently signed Brand Maker. I'm very excited about it. They're a $20 million company that has a leading marketing resources management tool. And when I say leading, it's been recognized as Gartner as one of the top 2. They're a German company. Most of their sales and revenue comes from Europe, and they're trying to expand in the US with large brands. They have one salesperson here who's based in the West Coast. He's my primary contact. I also have a contact with the head of marketing who's in Germany. A really, I think, compelling story because it's a modular and yet comprehensive system. And they're doing a presentation on November 11th. And I think it should have been in my emails. I think it's at 1 p.m. So my asks are obviously reach out to folks who you think would be interested in being part of this network. Show up at the events this upcoming November 11th, and also our own Rochelle Lisner is doing an event on Thursday on honing your perfect pitch. And that's
we're gonna have fun.
Exactly. It's gonna be fun. I'm already gonna be. One of the things we're doing that's unusual is we're gonna have some interactivity. So people are gonna give their pitch, and then the rest of the people in the present are going to vote anonymously on how well it did in 3 different dimensions.
Michael, can I just give a testimonial to Rochelle? I'm working with her.
Wonderful.
4 of you quoted my pitch in your pitches.